Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this video we're going to go over the character review for Stingray Rachel. I'm going to start immediately with the first point, which is how good Rachel is. I can say that Rachel is currently the best purple DPS unit in the game, and also among the best in general, like across all elements. The thing with her is that she basically only has damage to provide to the team, which is a bit annoying and is not future-proof at all. So in the future, I would expect Rachel to be more or less like White, so she will fall off eventually, I would say. But currently, she's basically the best purple DPS units we have. The only other thing that she provides, except for damage, is a defense decrease, which is not bad, obviously. But the thing is, we have a lot of units that can now provide defense decrease, so it's not that exceptional to have that. And outside of that, she doesn't really do anything else. She has a stun, which is okay, but it's even more common than defense decrease, so not really something worth talking about. So again, mostly she's just dealing damage and providing that defense decrease. That's it. So I don't know. I did not give her irregular, but I mean, if you watch the tier list video, you already know. So I did not give her irregular in the above 350, even though her damage is kind of up there, mainly for that reason, because she doesn't provide anything else and she's not really future proof. And yeah, also her teams are a bit restrictive, to be honest. So that also played into me giving her only high rank or up, which is obviously not a bad rank by any means, but yeah, still. I think some people might be disappointed by that ranking. But yeah, that's just how it is. I mean, if you look at other DPSs like Hell Joe, he has lower damage, sure. In fact, he's not even high ranker at above 350. But he provides swiftness decrease, defense decrease, HP recover block. So that's a lot more than just damage. If you take Augustus, he has defense decrease, physical resistance decrease. He also has yellow resistance decrease, lots of stuff. It's already good. Hugo removes buffs, also blocks the increase on the enemy stats. And yeah, really a lot of different things. We also have Revolution Bomb that is basically the same as a Joe, but it doesn't have, unfortunately, the HP recover block. So he has swiftness decrease and he has defense decrease. And really good overall crowd controls. So yeah, as we can see, Rachel is not really too exceptional in the utility compartment or department, whatever. So I would say high rank her up is totally fair, and we can expect her to go down as as more units are released, basically. So should you pull for Rachel? I think Zero Dupes is fine because she's going to provide a lot of value at that level. Obviously, she's not crazy good because already 3 red is more than double her damage, and Rainbow 5 is more than double 3 red damage, kind of. So I would say definitely she benefits from dupes, but at 0 dupes, she's already better than a Rainbow 5 white. So kind of depends. You definitely need more supports when she's 0 dupes because she has no sword ability whatsoever. When she's maxed out, she has a good hit barrier, so you can rely on that a little bit. But still, you will need to build a team around her so that she can stay alive, which is not that big of a deal. I mean, most DPSs are in that situation, so that's okay. So I would not recommend pulling for Rachel in general. I don't think that is a very good long-term investment. And we have to keep in mind, again, next update, we're going to get a DPS unit for green, which, if busted, is way more important than yet another DPS for purple. So keep that in mind. I would not recommend you guys to pull for this unit. If you want to get her to 0 dupes some other way, I don't know, with an SSR plus box, with a PT, with a gem shop, it's totally fine, you can do it. I just would not pull on her banner, to be honest, even though, again, she's currently the best purple DPS. So talking about the kit, I just wanted to quickly go through it. So the passive is going to spawn treasures around the map every number of seconds. And every time a treasure is detected, she's going to get a defense increase buff for 12 seconds that cannot be removed and that can be stacked. So the more active skills you're going to use, the more treasures she's also going to detect, which is nice. Also why you want units that can decrease active skill cooldown for her, which are SSR plus Yura and Icarus for the most part. Also Albelda could work, so that's okay. But more on that in the team building section. And every treasure has a 8-second duration that is then going to explode afterwards and deal a percentage of Rachel defense to nearby enemies. It's not too important. You're going to cast a special move more frequently than once every 8 seconds, so these will hardly ever proc. Unless you are on energy decrease floors, in which case it might proc every now and then. Then we have the first active skill that is just basically going to increase Rachel defense and giving her a barrier. Then there is a counter mechanic that has a 1-second cooldown. It's okay, not too bad, also because 4000% of her defense is quite the high number. Still is not too important. I would say most of her damage is basically coming from the special move and the other active skill. So this active skill here is going to steal the target defense. It's a small AoE, but it's still big enough, I'd say. You need grouping for that, but it's good. And you're going to steal defense from targets and increase your own defense. There is a cap to it, but that's normal. It's basically like Yugo defense steal. So that's good. That will increase your damage and also just decrease the enemy defense, which in turn, again, is more damage. Every time you use that, you also make 4 shards explode for 1200% of Rachel defense, which gets increased by the Exquisite Equipment to 2400. And also stun them, fine. Then we have the special move that is going to consume all treasure on the battlefield, dealing a percentage of her attack, whatever, and knock them back. And then for each treasure consumed, this is the important part, she's going to deal 4000% of her defense as additional damage. And this becomes 6000 with the Exquisite Equipment. So that's really, really good. That's a lot of damage. You will have a lot of treasures up at the same time, especially with Revolution. Without it, not so much, but with Revolution, it's really, really good. So that's the kit overall. If we look at the Exquisite Equipment, I already mentioned a few of them. Let's see. So we have level 1 that is going to increase Magic Pierce by 40% for 15 seconds when using this active skill that gives a barrier. And for level 2, there is the effect I mentioned before, basically doubling the defense scaling on the second active skill. For level 3, we have the Magic Pierce increase on the special move. That's really solid. And for level 4, the 2000% additional coefficient that I mentioned before for the special move. So overall, it is a really good Exquisite Equipment to max out. For Revolution, we have the Revolution 4, that is the hit barrier I mentioned. So every time a treasure is detected, you're going to get an 8 hit barrier for 10 seconds. And a treasure is detected every 4 seconds anyway. So every 4 seconds, you're going to refresh this hit barrier, which is pretty massive. And every time she uses an active skill, the same is going to happen. So this is pretty solid. Then we have Revolution 5. This is just making the special move always crit and also get a 60% special move pierce. So both of them are nice increases. We can already complain. And that's it for Revolution as well. Let me close a few things. Now we can talk quickly about the Ignition weapon. I gave her Doris as the best in slot because she can benefit from extra swiftness to reduce the cooldown of her active skills. And so the 2-piece is pretty good, 20 swiftness is nice. And then she also gets the additional 40. And that shield is going to last because she has a hit barrier. So before the shield is damaged, you have the hit barrier to protect it. So it's pretty solid. It's working pretty well, and you can get a 60 swiftness for basically free. You also can apply the Doris effect to another unit, which can apply the energy decrease on the enemies. So all things considered, I think this is a really solid set for her. You could run it on somebody else and then run a different set on Rachel, but I don't think there is anything really worth considering at the current moment. The other options would be Bari, not necessary, I'd say. Runda, you don't really care about spamming the special move, so the extra energy would kind of feel wasted. And then you have L, which is fine, but again, you don't deal damage with basic attacks, so that would only be to generate more energy, which you don't necessarily want. And the attack increase is not that important because again, she mostly scales of defense. You could go hybrid to Sela to Myongol if you want. I don't recommend it, to be honest, but it's viable. We'll see after the buff Sela. For now, I would just stick to Doris, I would say. So that's kind of the situation here for ignition weapons. I think you can just go Doris and you will be okay. Then in terms of investment, for mandatory, I just said 0 dupes. She works, again, better than white. So for me, that's a win already. At this point, I will go effect hit slot 4 and magic pierce slot 5. Now, effect hit is important because of the defense decrease or the defense steal. You definitely want that to hit. And unfortunately, 0 dupes, you don't have access to effect hit subnodes, so you cannot really get it from there. And I think this is pretty much mandatory. It will not be for the next investment levels, but for this one, I would say so. And that's about it. We cannot do any revolution, we can do anything. It's just crit rate and crit damage from the gear and effect hit from slot 4. Those are your priorities. For recommended, we jump straight to Rainbow 5. And here we get effect resistance slot 4. I always like to run effect resistance when possible on units that don't have it in the revolution subnodes, mainly because she will have an hit barrier, so she can tank some damage, but she can still be crowd controlled. So you want effect resistance to resist debuffs and those status effects. It won't be foolproof. I mean, you will still be hit every now and then, but you will dodge some of them. So that's definitely better than nothing. And you don't need to over rely on crit damage. You can build a lot of it anyway. So I think it's fine to run a slot 4 effect resistance main stat. You could always go crit damage if you want. You could also go resistance builds. To be honest, I also tried 0 dupes Rachel with resistance builds, and her damage was fine. So Rainbow 5, it would be more than fine. If you are below 300 deficit, you can do it. Even with all the defense she's getting, I would say she was not tanky at all. So I'd rather not do that, but if you want, it is a viable option. In terms of revolution investment, I went straight to revolution 6. We have accuracy as obviously the most important one if you don't have enough. Swiftness also really important. Effect hit 20 levels are also pretty important. You only need to have as much as the enemy effect resistance, which is, I think in the ice floors, still capped at 120. So if you have a bit more than 120 effect hit, you are fine, but kind of up to you. It's also for archive and it's fairly cheap, so you can just get it to level 20. Max cooldown reduction, really important for the active skills. Crit damage increase, also really important, and special move pierce. I did not add attack because, again, attack doesn't really do a lot of damage for Rachel, so kind of irrelevant. Then we have special move pierce, and lastly, critical hit rate. Now, critical hit rate usually would have been a bit higher, but with the fact that she has guaranteed crits on the special move, the critical hit rate is only for the other active skill, which isn't that big of a deal. So I left it for last. Kind of up to you. I would say you can do it, but it's not 100% necessary. Then in the nice to have is all basically the same, just higher investment on the ignition weapon, but the logic remains. So nothing really changed. Now for the last part, that is the team building. I just provided the general information like what this unit provides, which is high damage and defense decrease. The things that she needs from the team are active skill cooldown reduction, survivability, not too much, but a little bit, HP recovery block, defense increase, buff removal, and grouping. Those are more or less the things that she will need. And the enemies that you should avoid are basically none. You can run this unit against anybody. It's just a matter of building a team that will allow her to beat anybody. So for Shia, you definitely need HP recovery block. For other units, you might need more survivability because they might have multi-hits. And with just the hit barrier, Rachel could die. So in that case, survivability becomes important and stuff like that. So she can beat, I would say, anyone. I didn't really struggle against any kind of enemy. It was just a matter, again, of team building. The enemies that this unit is good against is, again, nobody specifically. If they have mostly single target damage, then the hit barrier will work a bit better, and you won't have to stress too much about survivability. But other than that, there is really no direct counter, I'd say, because again, she just provides damage. It's not like she provides some specific effects that you say, okay, this effect is really nice in this circumstance. No, it's just damage. So as long as the rest of the team allows for it, she can beat anybody. Now, in terms of unit synergies, we have the first one that is extremely important, and that is Icarus, because Icarus provides the defense increase and the active skill cooldown reduction. Both of those are extremely important for Rachel's damage, so that's really good. Then we have Hayura, which provides basically the same plus survivability. Her defense increase is not unremovable. Icarus has a part of it that is unremovable, so that's good. For Yura, that's not the case, but it's still fine. Survivability is also a really good advantage of running Hayura. Active skill cooldown reduction is also really strong, so that's great. It's only when Hayura is Revolution 5, but that's okay. Then for like grouping, we have Irang. You could also consider Urek as grouping, like the EX Urek, but I mean, at that point, you're using him as a carry and not Rachel. Okay, I didn't want to to add him, but potentially they work. Irang is just cool. I mean, she's going to group everyone together so that Rachel can hit all of them. And at that point, with Irang, I would also recommend running Reflejo. They work great together, and with those two, you don't need to worry too much about survivability because enemies will be crowd controlled most of the time, and they won't be able to hit your backline or your team at all. So that's good enough survivability and utility with just those two units. Then we have Karaka, because Karaka has an additional defense decrease, which isn't too important. He has grouping, he has purple element resistance decrease, and thanks to Miongo, he has HP recovery block and energy recovery block. So he's a really, really valuable tank to have. He won't tank on his own at higher deficits, but if you're already running Hayura and Icarus, he will definitely have an easier time staying alive. Then we have Albelda for the defense increase that she provides with the passive, and also the active skill cooldown reduction and immortality, well, invisibility that she gives. So definitely good. You're kind of wasting all the attack increase stuff, but it's still fine, I'd say. So overall, pretty good pair. If you're ever available and you're not using her anywhere, it could be worth a shot. For the last slot, to be honest, I didn't want to add anybody else, but I just added Garam for yet another source of HP recovery block, buff removal, and special move Pierce. So all three things that are pretty strong on Rachel, and that's about that. Now, for some basic teams, for the mono purple team, I just went for both Yuras, Karaka, Icarus, and Rachel. Pretty straightforward. The annoying thing is that Yura will have an harder time staying alive. She cannot hit everyone with the Fanatic active skill, which means she might die at certain times. The rest of the team is pretty straightforward. Karaka for grouping and all the utility we just mentioned. Icarus to boost Rachel's damage. Rachel as the DPS. And Yura just to provide some extra survivability for the other Yura. That's kind of the idea. For the multicolor team, I tried to remove some extra survivability, which would be Yura. We just have Irang plus Reflejo that I mentioned before, Icarus for again some damage buffs, and Albelda for yet other damage buffs and a bit more survivability. So that's kind of the teams. You can run a few more combinations, but I would say Hayura, like the SSR Plus, and Icarus are pretty important for Rachel teams. but they're not a must. I also run Rachel without Icarus and without Hyura, like 380 deficit when she was 0 dupes, and she was working. She was dealing enough damage, so that's good. That's a good sign, I would say. And yes, guys, that was all. That was the team building part, and I would say we covered all of it. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.